Hey, Richard, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well.
Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview today. Today, we're going to be talking about something called the danger of a single story and how it connects to communication and your own experiences. Do you
Okay.
happen to know what a single story is?
So a single story is like being exposed to only one source of information, which could at least being biased. Suppose I was young and my single story was that my friend told me that Iceland was full of ice. That was my only story. That's what I thought was true. But then I found out from other sources that it was actually the opposite. It's pretty green. And that Greenland was actually the one full of ice.
Wow, that's actually a really good example of a single story, just because like the names of certain things can just make us think things that are in reality just totally inaccurate. It pretty much lines up with my definition of a single story. It's the unfortunate phenomenon of one story about a person, place, or thing becoming the widely known story, often spreading inaccurate ideas.
Right. So
Yeah.
when I was younger in middle school, I had someone call me a Nazi because they had a single story that I was German. They didn't know I was Jewish. Also, I want to clarify that I do not practice Judaism. Ethnically, I'm Jewish. They didn't know anything about me. They just knew that I was German. So they decided to call me a Nazi. That's an example of how I've encountered the dangers of a single story.
That must have taught you a lot just about not making those type of assumptions, you know?
Right. If they had actually knew me and knew more about me, they would know that, like I said earlier, that I was Jewish, and calling me a Nazi would actually be ironic if they had only known more and had more sources of information other than that single story. They would have maybe not called me such a derogatory term.
As we can just see, there's really an importance in having one-to-one serious conversations with one another and just getting to know each other before saying random things.
I can tell you that a lot of people, it's not their fault. You know, it's not their fault that they're only exposed to one source. It's not their fault that that's all they know. It is our job, or rather duty, if we are encountered with someone who doesn't know that much or doesn't have correct information, but we do, it's our duty to inform them. You know, we can't just let ignorance spread if we have the chance to stop that ignorance.
Exactly. Especially in America, it's our duty as citizens to one another to combat the single stories that have been handed down for generations, and America doesn't have the greatest past, so it's up to us to make that change.
Mm-hmm.
In your own life, how do you try to move past single stories when getting to know someone new?
Let's say if I knew someone who was rumored to be a pretty bad person, but whenever I got to know them, they were really nice, they're sweet, and through their actions, they've proven to me that they're quite the opposite from that single story. What they have proven to me and what I've heard are completely different. I've given them the chance to prove that they are that good person. So that's where being direct is important. Communication and knowing what you want from that communication is incredibly important. Not just even from single stories, but in any situation.